that challenge forward, it's just so much conviction that you have to go through yourself.
Yes, you do have to, and you have to wait. And as somebody who's trying to do it in exactly that format, you will find that you will wait on a daily basis, and at some point you have to be not price obsessed but value conscious, and that's the shift you have to make in your head. And once you make that shift, you've got to allow a gestation period and commit to that gestation period. And a very dear friend of ours gave me a little piece of advice that I hold. He was talking about the stock market, but it holds in any field of business. And he said, the first thing you do before you invest in anything is know your appetite for loss. At some point, cut. And you've got to just be able to have the ability to eject and pull out, because it's now going to start hurting your life, your lifestyle, and the lives of people around you.
If I may just ask another suggestion. I mean, you've been there, and we obviously look up to you. Now, what is the budget that, suppose few lakhs rupees that we think of like the capital that we put in our business? What are the time frame that we should play off when we are thinking of a new business?
I think that changes from industry to industry. Every business has its own gestation period. But before you start spending the first rupee, you should know when you're aiming to start making an operating profit and when you're going to start hope to break even.
Very good. And let's close the panel because I know we're running short on time with David. I want to get your thoughts on this. The fear of failure, is it holding women entrepreneurs back?
I think there's a place beyond fear. Fear of anything, fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not fitting in. There's a place beyond failure, and that place is purpose. Of course, I understand in business you need to learn to cut your loss, but where does that conviction come from? I'm incredibly proud to be an Indian woman, no matter where I am in the world. And I will tell you this because the story came to my head when Nisha brought up some of her stories. And even my family doesn't know this. But when I was studying in the US, I was 18, 19 when I moved there. Incredibly naive. Moved there, but just a lot of passion. Like, I'm an Indian woman, I'm going to show myself. And there was this party, which was hosted by a bunch of Indians in California, in LA. And it was hosted by some guy from Delhi, and a lot of Indians who were from India were there. But then there are also a lot of Indians who were born and raised in the US, NRIs or ABCDs, whatever you want to call them. There are worse words, but anyhow. So I'm at this party. I'm fairly new to the US, very excited about getting my business degree. And this big tall guy who was an NRI, born and raised, Indian but born and raised in the US, within earshot just says something derogatory about Indian women. And he says that, oh, these Indian women, they come here and something. And I just made my blood boil. How dare somebody say this? So I just told him to get lost. This person looked at me and he's like, oh, do you know who I am? I'm like, do you know who I am? And it went on to some verbal duel till at some point he goes out of this house party. It's on the ground floor in LA, years ago. He goes out of this house party, dead of the night, bunch of people. He has some black Mercedes. He's obviously some rich man's son. Who opens the glove compartment, pulls out a gun, and comes straight at my head, really pissed off. And at that point, beyond fear, I'm like, shoot me. Go ahead, shoot me. And my roommate in one arm, another friend of mine in another arm, dragged me away while I'm kicking away. I'm like, how dare you say that about Indian women? I'm like, go ahead and shoot me. And they took me away. The scene ended. And they're like, listen, please do us a favor, don't die. And the next day, this is the best part. The next day, the guy whose house party it was, I remember his name was Manish. I haven't seen him since then. He calls me. He's like, Deita, do me a favor. I'm like, what? He's like, can you call this fellow? He's like my far-out cousin. Can you please call his father? I'm like, why? He's like, because he's funding my education in the US, and can you please call up and apologize to the father? And I said, why don't I call him up and tell him how the hell to raise his son? And I think I actually had a word with the father, and I told him this is not acceptable. And I just felt at that point, you know, I felt so strongly about all the Indian women out there who at some point have to handle this kind of discrimination or stereotypes. It was just beyond fear. And so sometimes, you know, when we feel something really strongly, I think fear is the last thing in your
You don't
mind.
have fear. I can't think of a better point to stop the panel than. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'd like to do a point-to-word question. My challenges probably, which I would love to share today as you have come with this point. Can I complete? Well, a lot of my friends over here would witness that from the family I come, I'm totally blessed. The challenge was the investment to start my business, and where my father said, you know, I'm going to do some investment for you. And that's the time I was so scared to say that I want to start my own business. I've just about studied. And he was like, to subah utke jayegi bhi nahi office. So that was the first thing, you know. I said, Dad, I will, I promise you. So this investment, whatever you want to do for me, instead of X place, please do it for me for IOSIS. That's where I started my business, but my first fear was to fail. So I said, if I have to go back home and tell him that I need more money, not possible. That fear.